Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Political Vigilante Live. We're doing it in Los Angeles, California, January 30th. It's at 8 p.m. at the Sycamore Tavern in Hollywood. Jimmy Dore is my very special guest. Get tickets at grahamelwood.com. Of course, I'm headlining in Chicago area the end of February. Ron Placone and I are back to the Progressive Comedy Tour in March. We're going to Lafayette, Louisiana, Oxford, Mississippi, New Orleans, the Big Easy, and Pensacola. So go to grahamelwood.com. And of course, Texas, we're coming there in April, guys. Get your tickets in April for Texas. We're going to Salt Lake City and Boise in May. We're doing the East Coast in June. Ticket links are already up. Get your tickets now. Come out to a live show. They're amazing. So I found this article in truthdig.com, Opioid Crisis Made in the USA. And basically, this is the sheer report that they do. It's a podcast, and then they break down sort of transcripts from it as well. And it's pretty startling what they've come across here. The opioid epidemic has been going on for over 2 years, and I'll get into the details, but it's obviously fueled by the big pharmaceutical companies. Pretty alarming, And two presidents, mainly Bush and Obama, kind of just let it happen. Didn't really talk much about it. So Scheer talks to McGreal, the book's author and a correspondent for The Guardian and other news outlets, discuss how the opioid addiction crisis is largely an American epidemic. This is pretty startling. As McGreal notes, 85% of the world's prescription painkillers are consumed in the United States of America. 85% of the world's painkillers are consumed right here in the United States. I didn't know that. That's pretty staggering. And the United States is 5% of the world's population, and yet we're consuming 85% of the world's painkillers. This didn't just happen. These largely prescribed drugs are so destructive and arrive at another unique American aspect in play, which is that the U.S. healthcare is an industry. One of the reasons we need Medicare for all is because of this, right? Patients are not seen as people, but as clients. That's how the healthcare industry views patients, views people as clients, as profit, as numbers. That's what they see. Hey, more people use our product. Great. They don't care that the opioid epidemic is destroying communities. Destroying. It's unreal. And it's done by prescription drugs. It's not even like meth where people have to cook it and get Sudafed and all this other shit. I mean, it's prescription. And so you've got doctors, some of which are just doing it illegally. They're profiting from this because the pharmaceutical industry pays doctors to do this. This is what a for-profit medical industry creates. Excuse me. Big pharma looms large in this crisis. According to McGreal, the pharmaceutical industry persuaded the medical establishment that everybody needed access to these drugs, and so they got them inserted into hospitals through a program called the Pain as the Fifth Vital Sign. That sounds like a CIA thing. That sounds like how the CIA decided to overthrow like a government that wasn't playing ball. Well, let's get them all hooked on painkillers. Well, one thing we know, if everybody's hooked on painkillers and doing other drugs, no one's challenging the system. You don't have time to rise up when you're high and you're trying to find your next high. In the last couple years, I've seen cocaine all over the place. I've seen it in the stand-up comedy world. Friends of mine that are musicians have seen it. A friend of mine that goes to Burning Man every year, right? There's drugs at Burning Man, obviously. It's a lot of people smoking weed and, Molly or whatever, which I'm not condoning those things, but my buddy was just at it this past summer. He goes, Graham, I've never seen it. People are like, you want a bump, you want a bump, you want a bump. If we're all high, we're not going to rise up. We're not going to wear yellow vests if we're all addicted to painkillers or meth or cocaine or whatever. See that? See how that works? And then there's the Food and Drug Administration, which has lost sight of its stated mission of protecting consumers. The FDA is bought and paid for by Big Pharma. Big Pharma needs these drugs to get passed. Of course they're going to buy the FDA. Of course. What is pain as a vital sign? Guess what? There's a pain as a vital sign toolkit. I just Googled pain as the 5th vital sign. I just Googled that. And this is what came up. Department of Veteran Affairs. Anybody with chronic pain, prescription, they get you hooked on opioids. Anyone with chronic pain. I used to have chronic pain. I started doing yoga, man. Another reason they don't talk about, I bet you there's nothing in here about going plant-based life. Animal products create inflammation in your back and all these problems. You know, gout is on the rise. Gout is on the rise because the paleo diet and the keto diet, you eat all this meat. Fucking gout. That's like something that happened in the 1500s or some shit. Gout? This is what happens when you have a for-profit healthcare system. This is why we need Medicare for all. And this is why Nancy Pelosi and those folks are never going to give it to us. Doctors are put in this position where they get a commission if they prescribe certain drugs. And then obviously there's going to be an allure to do, you know, there's obviously doctors and they've been busted. It's like, well, they're writing prescriptions and they're getting a profit from drug dealers and they're all in on it. That's what happens when you have for profit. Imagine if we had Medicare for all, would we be all these, and included in Medicare for all, I would say, and if we had free health care for everybody, would be alternative medicine. Acupuncture, chiropractic, yoga, whatever, man. Imagine if your health care covered your yoga. Because you know what yoga is? And eating healthy and exercising in some sort, it's preventative medicine. It's preventative medicine. Well, that's what, I don't know how many vets I've heard come back and they just pump them full of drugs. They have chronic pain, they got shrapnel, they were blown up or whatever. And then if they have any sort of PTSD that's connected to traumatic brain injury, oh, they pump them full of a bunch of meds. They just pump them full of meds. That's get a prescription. So that's sort of the cycle of for-profit, because healthcare costs so much. Health insurance, you're paying all this money for health insurance, or you have decent healthcare through your work. So then it's you go when you're sick and you want the pill to fix it. And the pharmaceutical companies, you ever been in a doctor's office and there's all these like samples for this drug can help with this and this drug can help. The pharmaceutical companies put those in there. Pain is the 5th vital sign toolkit. Just put in your search engine, pain is the 5th vital sign, and see what you find. See what you find. These and other factors, such as insurance companies cutting corners to cut costs, as well as patient conditioned to see themselves as clients to follow a pill for every ill mentality. That's what I was just talking about. Pill for every ill. If I'm going to spend all this money, I better get something out of this. I better get a prescription or something. That's the mentality that we're raised on in this ridiculous country. The richest country in the history of the world that doesn't have free health care for its citizens. And the Mickey Mouse Democrats, we'll make Medicare for all for people that are 55 or 60 or nyeh. All the symptoms point to a sick system with the drug industry free at its heart from anything resembling effective interventions from government or consumer sectors. The FDA gets 60% of its income from the drug industry, and that has completely changed the equation. And that's because in 1992, it's really a legacy of the Reagan era, but it's obviously under Clinton by then. Essentially, a system is introduced where the drug companies have to pay the FDA to license their drugs. So when the FDA gets 60% of its income from the drug industry, they have a financial responsibility to not hold the drug industry responsible, because that's your gravy train, baby. You start holding these guys responsible, that boom. What would you do? Right? And the thing that's happened too with the opioid epidemic, it's affected poor rural areas and stuff like that. West Virginia, Kentucky. I mean, it's really devastated. And then you wonder why Trump won? He went to those parts of the country and talked to them. That's the thing. I understand white privilege. I understand it. I'm middle class. I'm a college-educated white man. I've enjoyed white privilege. I've seen it. I've seen the difference, and I'm like, wow, I understand white privilege. But you're going to go to somebody in West Virginia that's a third-generation coal miner, that's watched their friends and families get decimated by an opioid epidemic. The coal mine closed down, or the factory closed, and they're having a hard time paying their bills and getting by. And then you call them, you tell them they have white privilege, or you call them deplorable, and then you wonder why you lose an election. These people are struggling, man. And now they're hooked on drugs because the FDA is profiting from the... You think the pharmaceutical industry gives a shit that there's an opioid epidemic? It's good profit, baby. We consume 85% of painkillers. You see the whole psychosis of this awful capitalism? Capitalism is cruel. That's why we have a healthcare industry. It's cruel. They want you hooked on drugs. They want you in debt and hooked on their banks and they want you hooked on their crappy food. They want you eating their sugar and their meat and their bullshit. Go to a plant-based diet, man. Start meditating. I'm for real. The Dalai Lama said it. He goes, if we got every 9-year-old to start meditating on the planet, in 20 years there'd be world peace. They want you numbed out, man. They want you drugged out. They want you drunk, high. They want you watching their bullshit news. They want you on the phone and the Snapchat and then getting your news from Facebook memes. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They don't want you eating healthy. They don't want you going to a plant-based organic diet. They want Monsanto to jam shit. They want the sugar lobby. It's all connected. You see how this is all connected? This corporate is connected in every aspect of our life. And it's all to keep us fat, stupid, dumb, out of touch. That's what they want us to just checked out, man. They want you checked out. They want you hooked on whatever it is. Food, alcohol, drugs, video games, whatever it is, man. Sex. Fucking, eat some shitty food, go fucking Tinder it up, and boom, boom, and don't think about what's really happening. Don't think about how the FDA is owned by the health. Come on. 60% of their revenue. Unbelievable. Thanks for watching the show, you guys. Please go to Patreon to support it. This is why you get your news here on YouTube and you don't get it. Don't watch, because you know what happens when you watch mainstream media? I guarantee you, go watch an hour or 30 minutes of CNN or MSNBC or Fox. You will see pharmaceutical ads. You will see pharmaceutical ads. If you see pharmaceutical ads playing ahead of my video, let them play. Don't press skip ad, because then they have to pay me. And then watch me talk about how they're all bullshit. Don't click through or buy anything. I mean, click through, I get paid for that, but don't buy anything. I'm telling you, man, I take pharmaceutical drugs as an absolute last resort. I try to go the all-natural route for everything, because I don't want to get hooked on their bullshit. I don't want their side effects. I don't want them fucking with me, man. I had bronchitis in like November, December last year. All right. Okay. I tried to cure my cold the all-natural way with zinc and vitamin C, and it didn't work. And I put, ginger in my tea, and I eat garlic and all that stuff when I'm sick. And usually that knocks my cold within 3-4 days is like almost completely done. I had bronchitis, I had to take, that was my first time in like 2 years or something that I had to take a prescription drug. And then I took a shit ton of probiotics for a month to get that evil crap out of my system. Don't play their game if you don't have to, man. Don't play their game if you don't have to. I understand you get a serious medical illness or whatever, or ailment, and you need prescription. I get that, but they want you. The psychiatrist, oh, I'm depressed. I'm going through a breakup. Oh, here's the thing. What? Shouldn't I feel the pain? When I posted my Me Too video going through this last year and a half of repressed memories of being abused as a child and having a violent ex-girlfriend and having to go get restraining orders and all that stuff, it was brutal. You know what I didn't do? I didn't take their crap. I cried. I felt my emotions. They don't want you to feel emotions. I'd go watch a sunset. You know, looking at a blue sky makes you creative. Or looking at the ocean or water or a lake or stream, watching water puts your brain in a meditative state and resets your brain. Do you know what 10, 15 minutes of meditating a day does? 20 to 30 minutes of taking a nap resets your brain. That's why I'm all crazy healthy. Because I don't want to get hooked on their bullshit, and then they're going to turn me into one of their goddamn zombies. Oh, Trump, Hillary, bleh. Don't fall for it. You're smarter than that. That's why you guys come here. And that's why you support this show. And that's why you are making Gotham great again.